that MoneyMind does. Tomorrow is the launch of our savings pillar. And in this video, I will go through the topic, savings, check your savings foundations are secure, and tell you why MoneyMind is possibly something to consider if you're feeling a little bit insecure in some areas of your personal finance. So, just a quick recap. One, I am Raven, founder of financial literacy social enterprise MoneyMind. Two, I feel really blurgy today, guys. Like, I don't know why. I think maybe it's because I had a cheese pizza yesterday. And I know that sounds a bit weird because most pizzas have cheese on them, but I had like a quattro formaggio, which has 4 cheeses on it. And then it was delicious. And I have kind of died today. Like, I feel like my brain is sort of in some other dimension and I am here. And so this is probably going to be a little bit all over the place, but hopefully will also be a little bit helpful. You can also tell that my brain is like really scatter because my accent's going all over the place. Like I can just tell now that it's just bleh. It's just today is a cheese day. So getting back to the topic. Move away from the cheese, Raven. So checking your savings foundations are secure for free. You can try our free samplers over at our website. And I'll go into essentially just what we need to know about our savings foundations to just know that they're secure. So a little bit of background on this. I'll try and make it short, but cheese day. MoneyMind was created because me and my family went through a startup journey, right? My husband decided to found a fintech company, and hi Jay, thanks for subscribing, yay! And so I was there, and we were together in this journey, and we decided on this, and we took the journey together, and it was so stressful. It was so stressful being in startup life journey mode. So I realized through this stress that I had a lot of gaps in my financial knowledge. I had been working and kind of getting on with my life, but I had never really felt really secure in the financial foundations of basic personal finance. And I didn't seem to be able to find just a really easy plug and play personal finance plan that I could use. So I created one for myself with the 5 pillars of financial stability. They are money mindsets, savings, budgeting, investing, wills, and legacy. Once again, money mindsets, savings, budgeting, investing, wills, and legacy. Now, I realized through creating this little plan that if we have all 5 pillars sorted out, then our financial foundations are going to be pretty secure, really. Like, these are the very, very basics that anyone can use right now, free, just totally in your financial life. Use it as a checklist. Now, please keep in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. I'm just sharing my own opinions and journey as I experienced. But if you just ask yourself right now as a checklist, are my money mindsets good? Like, when I say good, I mean, am I happy with them? Am I comfortable and confident with where they're at? Regardless of where they're at. It's just, am I comfortable and confident with where my money mindsets are at? Am I comfortable and confident with where my savings are at? Am I comfortable and confident with where my budgeting's at? Or at least expense tracking and knowing where my money's going? Am I comfortable and confident with my investing? Am I comfortable and confident with my wills and legacy? Now, if we ask ourselves these questions, then we'll have a pretty clear picture of where our financial foundations are at. And a lot of us may find that we are avoiding one area or another. Like, say we're great at savings, but we may not be very confident in investing. And when I say confident in investing, this doesn't mean that we're like super investors who make all the best decisions all the time, but just that we are happy to make investment decisions that we are comfortable with regardless of the outcome. So it's our call. We're not just pushing it off onto someone else. We're not just avoiding it. We're not feeling weird emotions about it. We really just are comfortable and confident in this area. So this has to be my theme, like comfortable and confident, comfortable and confident. So we can use this pillar checklist and ask if we are secure in our financial foundations. And so what these 5 pillars have at moneymind.global, the website, is a free sampler checklist, because I realized that once I had tried applying this 5-pillar foundation, I suddenly felt a lot more secure about my own personal finances. And I realized that the 5-pillar plug and play foundation checklist could be used by anyone. Anyone could take this framework and say, oh, am I good in these areas? And if I'm not, can I just plug the gaps in the areas that I am a little insecure? And so that's why Money Mind was created, because I realized other people might like this 5-pillar framework to just use as a checklist for their life. Now, if you're great at all these areas, then good, that's where we want to be at. But if you're a little bit shaky in any of these areas, then you might want to try our free samplers, and you might want to try the full pillars to see if that can help support you to feel more comfortable and confident in the areas that you're currently less comfortable and confident. So this uses pretty much like mindset and financial coaching style to say, here is some stuff you might not have known about these particular areas. And knowing this, keeping in mind that we are working with ourselves to grow forward, hopefully you'll be able to say, oh, actually, this area is not as complicated as I thought it was. That's helped me feel more confident to take the next steps. And that's what Money Mind is about. Okay, so it's about making sure that we feel as comfortable and confident as we can in the areas that we are in our money lives, and hopefully have these 5 pillars checked off so that we can say, oh, I'm okay, I can grow from there. But without a stable foundation in these, sometimes we'll kind of wobble. We'll kind of do a bit of this or a bit of that, or we won't have, all of the 5 pillars in place. And we can take on too much risk as a result of not realizing that these are all we really need to have the foundations sorted out. And these align with the OECD guidelines for financial literacy that are supposed to be taught to like 15 to 17-year-olds. But when we're 15 to 17, we don't care. Like, it's not that relevant to us. We want to know these things and practice and apply them when they're practical to us and when we need to feel confident, which is when we're adults making decisions about our money, right? So if you want to go and try the free samplers, you can go over and try them over at www.moneymind.global. And we also have an Instagram at moneymind.global in case you want to just follow and get some free insights on this month's topic, which is savings. So here we're going to dive into checking your savings foundations are secure for free. And this is not advice, this is just my opinions, and it's just a quick check that we can use to check whether our savings foundations are there and stable and right for us. So this is what's in the free sampler, and you can go over to the website, try the free sampler for yourself, and see the style in which the courses are given, right? Which is just a 10-minute sampler, and there's a 1-hour course, which is in pretty much like 10-minute segments, okay? So in the free sampler, you would go to the website, you try the free sampler, and then we'd ask 3 questions to answer. So here I'm going to walk through those 3 questions that are in the free sampler. So you can do them in the free sampler, you can do them here right now, but if you want to have a little bit more information about where you're at, you might want to try the free sampler for yourself as well. So the 3 questions that we ask: quick check for your savings foundation in the free sampler. Your current savings status. What is it? You should know this. If you don't know this, then it might be an area that you don't really give much thought to. But the thing is that is super awesome, I've realized through going through this journey in personal finance, is that you don't need to have a lot of time, energy, or complicated emotions about this to know it. It's like, oh, well, I save like this much of my salary, or 10%, or, a third, whatever it may be. But when you're actually doing it, you can just sort of list what you're doing without any other thought about it. But if you're not quite sure, or it's not securely in place, then you may find yourself waffling, or I'm not quite sure, or it varies, or making an excuse or something like that. So that's the difference that we'll experience in our life. If we are already doing something in terms of our current savings status and our current savings habit, we'll be able to generally answer it like, oh, this is the amount. Or you'll know that somewhere in your accounts you have it allocated in your budget or in your savings. So you'll be able to just look and see what it is, but you will be able to do it, not necessarily your spouse or your partner or anyone else. Just you know where your saving status is at, because that is comfort and confidence in your personal finance life. So if you're a bit, I don't know, you might want to check also the next questions. So the first question in the sampler is, what's your current saving status? The second is, are you a saver or spender type? Now, most of us will be able to answer this pretty quickly and know whether we like to keep money or whether we like to spend money. And what's important about this is to know and accept so that we can counterbalance it in our life. And we'll go into how to do that more. We give the answers in the free sampler, but then we dive into a little bit more coaching on that in the paid pillar, which is out this month, out tomorrow actually. Yay! So the third question in the 3 sampler list is 3 practical strategies that we currently have in place. Like, if we aren't doing any savings, or we don't know where to start, or we're a bit overwhelmed, what are the 3 steps that we can just take now to move forward? So we'll go, these are answered all like more completely in the free sampler, in short, obviously, and then we're dive into a little bit more in the paid pillar. But the 3 answers to these questions, okay, that we have in the free sampler and then dive into in the paid pillar are the number 1, current savings status. Like, what is your savings amount? What we want to already have in place is 3 to 6 months emergency fund and a regular savings habit. That's it. It's pretty simple. So we want to start our 3 to 6 months emergency fund with $1,000 US, and then having our 3 to 6 months necessities saved somewhere accessible in cash by both parties in a relationship for us to be able to get access to for real emergencies only, not stuff that we forgot, right? So real emergencies would be something that is like a threat to an unexpected and immediate threat to our home, life, safety, security, something like that. Pretty much if you need to call the cops, or you need to call an ambulance, or you need to call your lawyers or insurance company, it's probably an emergency. If it's just relatives visiting unexpectedly, it's not an emergency, guys. You need to use your savings, or you're spending money for that. So we dive into that more in the pillars, which I have to say, I was doing a comparison chart with how much financial coaching costs, and it's a minimum of like 100 US an hour. And financial coaching, you need about 6 to 12 of them to be able to get forward direction in your financial life and get your basics cleaned up. So essentially what we do here is a version of mindset and financial coaching, because it's just on the basic foundations of tidying up your personal finance life. But we do it here for free samplers for you to get an insight, $49 US for each pillar, or you can buy the 5 pillar bundle anytime, and that's $188 US, which is $57 less than if you buy single bundles, single pillars. So I compared that to the $600 to $1,200 minimum that actual financial coaching in person would require. And this is a really great value way to get started on that journey in a self-coaching way with little online courses that you can complete in the privacy of your home anytime. So it's a great step of kind of financial coaching before you get full financial coaching, or just if you decide that this is enough for you, to actually use as financial coaching to be able to just check your financial foundations are in place and take a step forward in a direction that you're comfortable and confident with, in terms of, do I want a financial coach, or do I want a financial advisor, or what is it that I need next? So this is a really great cost efficient way to be able to take a step forward with a little dose of financial coaching in our money lives. So please remember, financial coaching is not financial advice. Financial coaching is saying, where are you at and how can you make choices that you're comfortable with to adjust where you're at, while not advising on making decisions. So it's not advising on investments, it's not advising on what budget to try or this or that. It's just saying, are your budget habits in place? Where are you at? And what are the next steps you could possibly take? And then you can make the choices yourself, right? So it's quite different. It's kind of like Marie Kondo. She tells you that you can do this decluttering and tidying, but she doesn't actually like do it for you. She will show you how to do it, and you can copy that style if you like. So financial coaching is a little bit like Marie Kondoing your own house, right? She's not decluttering it for you. She's not a decluttering expert who comes to your house and just does it all. She is just there as kind of like a coach or a guide to be able to help you to be inspired to do it yourself. So that's how the financial coaching model works versus financial advisor, who will be able to advise or make investment recommendations and decisions perhaps on your behalf. So going back to the sampler questions and why this is a good thing to try if you're just interested to move forward a little bit in your financial, like personal finance stability and comfort levels and confidence levels, but you don't want to like take the next jump into like a financial advisor just yet or financial coaching just yet. It's kind of financial coaching style where you have the 3 questions of your current saving status, your saver spender type, and your 3 practical strategies. And the current saving status, as I mentioned, thanks incognito, useful question on topic. So if we have the current saving status, I just went through what we would want to have, 3 to 6 months emergency fund, and we want to know roughly our monthly savings habit. So the saver spender type, if we are a saver or spender type, we want to know our risk profiling questionnaire. If you haven't done it, go to your bank. You can do it for free. You need to know it about your investing risk tolerance, but also it will give you insight into your overall money personality. And you'll probably know already whether you're a saver or a spender, but you'll be able to also say, how can I counterbalance my type, knowing what it is? If you're a spender like me and you try and fight to become more of a saver and cut all your spending habits, it's not going to work. Let me tell you, it's not going to work. Okay, I have walked that road and it does not lead anywhere except for back on itself, where you have to start again because you haven't made any progress. You just frustrated yourself on this really long journey that was really convoluted, but you just sort of thought that you needed to be a different person in order to get results. You don't. You're perfect as you are. Whether you're a saver or whether you're a spender, all you need to do is know your type and accept your type and then work with your type, right? It's like if you're like me, part Asian, and you constantly try and get your hair like platinum blonde, damn, that is hard, okay? My hair is always going orange or like a brassy kind of orange, and it's just, I don't even dye my hair anymore. It's just not even worth it, right? I got my first gray hair and I was like, I'm never gonna dye my hair again. And then I have to regrow it because it's all like this weird black dye on the bottom. So anyway, the point is that work with your type. My hair is dark. I'm just gonna keep it dark and use like a color conditioner thing instead of dyeing my hair, instead of trying to go blonde, because it's just so hard for me. And some people want to do that, and that is fine. And it works for them and it's great for them. If that's not you, then work with your type. Work to highlight your assets, highlight your best features. If you are a saver type and you are hoarding money, you might want to look at areas that you are a little bit weaker, perhaps investing or other risky type of areas. And you might want to just start educating yourself in those areas to become more comfortable with them, because our brain will use familiarity to become more comfortable adopting changes. It will resist changes if they feel unknown, insecure, or somehow a threat, which is how the brain translates anything that it doesn't do all the time. Okay, which is kind of annoying in terms of doing new things, but we can work around it with familiarity, which is why we'll feel comfortable watching an episode of a new TV show where it's, like freaky characters like Game of Thrones or something like that, where they're pretty intense and like a lot of intense stuff is happening, but we've become familiar with the characters. And so we're comfortable watching them fight and die and just be, like really intense. Okay. So we're comfortable with that. Whereas someone who's never seen Game of Thrones would just come in and be like, wow, this is like a really intense series. Like, why, how is this relaxing for you? But you're familiar. So familiarity is the way to get us to be able to feel comfortable making changes moving forward that we're confident with. We want to stick with feeling confident and comfortable in whatever choices we make. So if we're a saver type, we can start educating ourselves in investing if we feel like we kind of hoard money a little bit and maybe don't invest as much as we might like. We can consider that, familiarizing ourselves in the education area. And we can do that with like micro learning. We can do it with doing the free sampler on the investing pillar. We can do the full pillar on investing. We can curate our own Instagram and social media to just show us a lot more accounts in areas that we're interested in. So it's micro learning that pops up in our feed that increases our familiarity. If we're a spender type and we are not so great at budgeting or maybe investing, we might want to look at expense tracking. So while budgeting for a spender type may feel a little bit freaky and constrained and just emotions, if we have those feelings because we're a spender type who feels freaked out about budgeting, just start with expense tracking. Just today, write down what you spend, tally at the bottom. Do it for the rest of the week. That's how I had to start. And after 2 weeks, I realized selective spending started to kick in, which meant that I was seeing the tally amount at the bottom without any judgment, without thinking about it. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize I spent that much on like coffee. For me at the time, it was coffee. It was actually the cakes that I was buying with the coffee, less than the coffee. And I realized, oh, I really don't need to be eating that much Starbucks cake every day. So selective spending can start to kick in, and then that starts to become quite empowering because you realize that you're starting to want to make changes to your spending without the restrictions of a budget. And who knows, maybe you'll end up moving forward in that direction, tracking your expenses for a week and then a month, and then saying, actually, you know what, I could just try the no budget budget, which is a budget where you just put your necessities, savings, and spend the rest. Maybe that will work for me. So we go into more types of budgets, 3 types of budgets, and my 25% budget that are in the full savings, full budgeting pillar. But we touch on budgeting and savings a little bit in the savings pillar that's out this month too. So out tomorrow. Yay! It's been a hack, guys. It's been a long journey. So the third one is 3 practical strategies that we currently have in place. Now, I have these listed in the free pillar, free sampler, sorry, and then the full pillar more extensively. And I really talk about them as in these we want to have in place. And if we don't have them in place, then we kind of have to work through them sort of sequentially. It doesn't have to be sequentially, but it's just good to do because it's the easiest way to kind of do it. So 3 practical strategies that we might want to have in place, maybe just to consider, are monthly savings habit, saving something every month that is kind of a regular amount. And then make sure that our 3 to 6 month emergency fund is fully funded. And then we want to just keep going. So essentially it's 2 steps and then keep going. So the reason why we want to do it in this kind of order is, and it doesn't have to be this order, right? But we would want to have the monthly savings. So start with the monthly savings, which means that we are allocating money to go towards monthly savings in cash. If we don't have a monthly, 3 to 6 month a 3 to 6 month emergency fund already built, then that monthly savings needs to go towards building that 3 to 6 month emergency fund of basic necessities. So here is where it ties in with the budgeting pillar. Essentially, if we want to know what our basic necessities are, we just track our expenses for 3 months and then maybe 6 months, and you'll see your necessities. And those are different to wants. So needs and wants are very different, and we need needs to survive, And we want things like Netflix and Deliveroo and things that we feel like, oh, we couldn't survive without cable. If all the cable in the world was shut off, you wouldn't die. You'd be very uncomfortable. If your heating, lights, and water were shut off, you probably would find ways not to die. But if they were permanently shut off, there is a chance of harm happening to us if no electricity, no heating, no lights, no nothing. We'd kind of be in like wilderness survival mode, right? So if that happened to our whole world, we'd be really in a bad situation. In a bad situation. So we want to make sure that the necessities, needs, and wants are pretty distinctly different. And that's a very dramatic example that I give, obviously, but it's a way to look at like what's a need and what's a want. Will I survive without this? A lot of us can emotionally think, oh, I won't be able to survive without my Netflix, without my new Disney Plus series. Like, you'll survive. You'll just be really unhappy about it and not being able to see like Obi-Wan, which at this point in time, if you're watching this, is like the next thing coming out. So if you're watching this in like 4 years in the future, you'll be like, Obi, what? Like, that was so long ago. But anyways, the point is that you want to have your monthly savings started and then have an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of necessities in place in cash for accessible by both parties in a relationship anytime that it's needed within 24 hours. Okay, so that needs to be accessible in cash, liquid cash, within 24 hours by any party in a relationship. Okay, not your kids, obviously, but adults. And then just keep going. So, what you want to do essentially is you want to have monthly habit in place, emergency fund full. And once that's full, you want to start allocating that money then to something else, like a savings in cash or investing. And that's just something that we can decide to do at the time. But these are what we want to have in place in terms of 3 practical strategies to have in place if we don't have them in place already. So there's 3 sampler questions that we've gone through today are, what's our current savings status, right? What do we want it to be? So I gave a tip on the current savings status and our type. Are we a saver type? Are we a spender type? And how can we counterbalance that? We covered that. And then 3 practical strategies, which are pretty much just 2 practical strategies and then 1 keep going. But hopefully that's a little bit helpful to give a framework of what you want to have in place already. So ideally, if you were doing the checklist of money mindsets, savings, investing, budgeting, budgeting, investing, wills and legacy, with the savings pillar, you would say, oh yes, I have my current savings status in place. I know my type and I work with my type, and I have my monthly emergency fund all saved and I save monthly and I'm doing that regularly. So you'd be able to say in that savings pillar, I have this done already. And if you don't have it done already, then you may benefit from trying the free sampler, checking against that list. So, with the free sampler, you can pause at any time. It's a 10-minute video. You can pause and make notes and see where you're at in the privacy of your own home, obviously. And then you can ask yourself, okay, do I want a little bit more information in this area? Because if I do the paid pillar of savings, which is $49 US, guys, like, it's not a lot of money in terms of investing in yourself for your money foundations. Because if you don't make investment decisions and don't make savings money decisions, essentially, if you avoid money, you end up over time losing tens of thousands of dollars because it's just kind of leaking out and going elsewhere. So essentially, you're paying like $49 to stop yourself from leaking out like tens of thousands of dollars this year over the next 5 years, whatever. So you might just leak out $1,000 a month, but that still ends up becoming like $12,000 a year. And that just ends up kind of getting bigger and bigger if we're not watching where our money's going. Because if we're avoiding money, the best way to lose our money. And sometimes when we start looking at this, we're like, oh, this is quite easy to clean up. Or I had more money than I realized that I had. Or I'm really spending a lot in some areas to cope with my toxic work, with stress, with whatever it is. And I can start to look for other areas that I can counterbalance that. So maybe instead of spending as much in an area to cope with our, really stressful work life, we can start meditating more or exercising more or spending that same amount of money on something that is like not shopping, but maybe yoga. So whatever it may be, or maybe massages or spas or something like that. So we can start to make choices that we're confident and comfortable with that are serving us instead of just surviving in whatever mode we're in at the moment. So really all we want to be doing with checking these foundations and making sure that they're in place is asking if we're comfortable and confident with our money foundations. And if we are, awesome. This is the goal. This is the point. This is why this Money Mind company was founded and created. And the reason why the prices are so low is because it's a social enterprise, which means that it's kind of built like a charity, but for profit, which means that we can sell products and we have a mission and a purpose to serve. And our mission and our purpose at MoneyMind is financial literacy. So allowing people access to improve their financial literacy and at an accessible price as well, to make it available to a wide audience. So that's why the pricing is so competitive compared to financial coaching and other like higher level things in terms of finance, because we want people to just be able to make sure their foundations are in place at a very accessible price of like 49 US dollars to be able to make sure I'm cleaning up my savings area. And I can do that like within a week. So the pillar is actually advised to do for 1 week before starting another pillar. Because what I've realized is, despite our emotions, if we let go of our emotions and we just do each pillar for 1 week, within 5 weeks, we could tidy up our money lives, which is insane. Now, it's just the start, and we have to keep going to maintain it, obviously. Like, you can't just exercise for 5 weeks and then be like fit forever. But you can do a diet or a keto diet for like 5 weeks, learn tips that might be helpful to continue. Like, maybe if you were to do keto, which is quite extreme, but if you were to do keto for 5 weeks and then you're like, oh, wow, my body really prefers low carb, I can consider eating not keto, but low carb, lower carb in the future. That's something that you learn from that experience that is your style that you can use moving forward. So it's about gaining information that you can then use to your advantage in the future. So if you were to apply each pillar for 1 week, money mindset, start cleaning up your money mindsets, savings, start cleaning up your savings, budgeting, just look at your budgeting, see where you're at, investing, start educating yourself or asking what you'd like to consider in these areas without making any big investment moves or anything like that. Wills and legacy, you can definitely do your wills and legacy within like an hour, to be honest. But still, consider a week if you need to get a lot of stuff in place in order to be able to do that, or make an appointment with a lawyer. If you do each of these pillars for 1 week, in 5 weeks, you're going to have arrived in a different place to when you started, because you'll have information that you're like, oh, wow, I can keep going in this area. Or there's one thing, just look for one thing in each area that you didn't know or you weren't sure about, and you're now differently informed. Like with the money mindset thing, you don't have to believe anything, any thought that's in your head. You don't have to believe it. You can choose how you think about money. Money's the root of all evil. Well, but is it? Is that a misquote from the Bible, perhaps, that you can look up Dave Ramsey's rants about? It's all in our head, and how we perceive money will affect how we behave about money, and how we behave about money will affect how much money we have in our lives. If you want to have a slightly different money life, then you got to fix your thoughts about it, because it's like having a friend that you treat like crap all the time. How are you treating your money? You treating it nicely? Do you think, oh, I'm just going to avoid this friend? Sorry, your money's just going to leave. If you avoid a friend enough, they are going to get the hint and they're going to leave. Money's going to do the same. So we need to know where we're at in our 5 pillars of financial stability. We can use the free samplers to check it, do the paid pillars in order to clean it up a bit for the best price I've seen on the market, and just try it out. Try out these areas if you think, oh, actually, that might be something I could consider. And ask if you just want to have a slightly different money foundation life. Because at the end of the 5 pillars, what I would like people to feel, if they just learn one thing or apply one thing in each area, is wow, I feel much more confident because that was easier than I thought. And I pose all of this in the simplest way possible. Money mindset, savings, budgeting, investing, wills, and legacy. It's 10-minute free samplers and 1 hour paid courses that you can apply for 1 week to get some visible results. And what you'd want to do is just notice your experience in these areas and ask if you're comfortable and confident with them. If you are, great. If you're not, can you tidy them up a bit? It might be as easy as just plugging in one of these pillars or free samplers. The free samplers might be enough. You might try the free samplers and say, oh, I got it. I can just use these and do that and sort it out. Easy, good. That still achieves our goal and our mission of financial literacy empowerment for you. That's the goal. That's the mission, right? Our mission is not to make loads of money selling loads of courses. Our mission is to make money helping people empower themselves, but also help people take the next steps, whether or not that is paid or free. Okay, so we're in this for the outcome, which, yes, on some level, we want to have money involved because it's a financial literacy course and we need to learn how to invest in ourselves to be able to grow and move forward. And we'll start to be able to make those decisions, spending our money to invest in ourselves to grow and move forward in future as well. So it's kind of like reinforcing a habit. Originally, I thought this might be a kind of charity thing. And then I realized because it's about money and financial literacy, that it had to be paid, that it had to be something that we choose to invest in and take steps forward in and buy for ourselves to apply and take steps in the direction we want to go and create our futures with. So we want to buy our life change. And we need to apply the action to do it, but we get access to it through spending that money. Just like we get access to feeling happy about a bag by buying that bag. We can feel happy about the bag, seeing it sitting on the shelf, but often we kind of want to have it for ourselves. So we can buy this we can buy the paid pillar and we can bring in savings guidance into our life that we apply for a week and say, wow, that was easier than I thought. But before that, I hadn't done it or I didn't know it. And that was definitely worth paying like $49 for. So the price will go up over time as we add more materials and I get more qualifications and things like that. But for now, it's the great and accessible price of $49 US. That's it. And the samplers are totally free. And I'll probably be creating a lot more free products as well to try over the year because I'm going to be investing, I think, into a Natalie Bacon online business course. And that's very exciting, as well as all the other Cambridge and Oxford psychology studies that I'm doing because I like to do too much stuff and take on too much. Yes. So anyways, hopefully that was helpful about checking your savings foundations are secure. Try the free samplers if you like. Try the paid pillars if you like. Whatever works for you. I know I've kind of like pitched this a lot because I'm trying to practice doing that, but it really is just up to you what level you're comfortable and confident with right now, what level you'd like to get to, and if this is relevant for you at all. You can just keep watching the free videos and we'll be sharing stuff here too. So you might just watch the free videos and the live broadcast and be like, oh, I learned all I need from there. That's fine. That's also awesome. Whatever works for you is really what we say throughout the courses and the free samplers and everywhere, because this is not advice. It's just my own personal opinions and guidance based on my journey that I'm sharing with other people in case it benefits anyone else. Thanks for watching. I'm Raven, founder of financial literacy social enterprise Money Mind, and I will see you tomorrow.